Okay guys, this is Cruise Roy. I'm going to talk a little bit about the ladder right now. These little adjustment screws I told you about, they're on the cap screw bolts that go into the cap screws, those cap bolts I should say. What they are is they want them backed out when you pull it off, but when you put it back down, you have to drop these down onto the cap bolts because I guess there's just a little bit of space, and they actually have to be torqued down to 27, even though when I took them off they almost came off by hand, so they probably loosen up over time. But I can't find that large of an Allen wrench, so I took an extension and just ground off the pointy edges of it, and when I stuff it all the way in, I think it'll give me enough to get 27 pounds of torque out of it. So it's when you, before you tighten these bolts down, those have to be torqued at 27, and then you put the bolts in. That's so the aluminum doesn't crack anywhere or put stress on the ladder in the wrong way. Alright? That's one thing. Second thing, you got these little tiny, see if you can see them here. Am I looking in the right spot here? Back up a little bit. The two external bolts have these washers, and I just took a crappy old real thin screwdriver and clean out the aluminum here because it gets all corrosion in there, and of course favorite tool, a hammer, and you got to chisel it out. It wouldn't come out until I chiseled it, and if you notice I scratched the aluminum here, so I'll just put some RTV in there before I put the brand new ones. You know, those are the brand new ones that'll go in there, but I'll put a little RTV to protect myself from scratching up the aluminum. And another thing was, I'm keeping the Jackshaft Sprocket. They say they're good for about 500,000, these sprockets, but here's the brand new one for the crank. Here's the old one for the crank. Check your parts, because if you notice, one has a little shim on it. The old one has a shim, so it bumps out probably another good 1/8 inch. And this one here, when I put it on, the chain was crooked, and I'll bring you over there to show you right now. Bring the camera down. Okay, turn it this way. What I did is I have to keep the upper jack shaft because the other one has a notch in it, so there must be different style Fords, and they sent me the wrong sprockets. The timing chains seem to be okay. It's just the sprocket ones. I mean the front gear one here. So if I put this one on, well, remember, this reveal faces out. That's where the harmonic balancer goes in. Alright, now this isn't tight, but I took a straight edge. I know this looks crooked, but it's actually pretty straight and flat. If you look at the bottom, it's not flat on that sprocket. There's like 1/8 of an inch I need. So this sprocket would have just caused problems. Yes, I did get aftermarket, but my VIN number is E. You're supposed to send me the right set, so I'm assuming there's something different about the balance gear than this, or this is the two-wheel drive sprocket that doesn't have the balancer and is a spacer. But if I take this one off, which seems to be a little sloppier than the old one, I put the old one on, which, like I said, they don't look that worn. This one has a lot better tolerances. It's a little bit harder to get on. And you take your straight edge, Seeing there's no rocking anymore. It's nice and flat. So just something to look forward to. Make sure you check all your sprockets. I checked the alignment on the front and rear cassettes, and they seem fine. It was just this front. So I think they might have sent me the wrong gears, but I'm just going to use the old one anyways. Alright. So today I'm going to try to do the alignment on the ladder here, or girdle you want to call it, or upper oil pan, and that's what I'm going to attempt today. Okay, the next thing I did was put the balancing chain guides on, and if you notice it's still loose. Just check your torques between foot-pounds and foot-inches. These are foot-pounds, these are foot-inches, so be careful of that. You'll break these plastic parts. And just be careful, you need two types of torque wrenches for that. Or you can convert it, but you don't want to use one with too much leverage for a small item, and then these bigger items just holding the cap and the bearing down for the balancer. But I'm going to show you some of these new guides come with a grenade pin. I'm going to hold it and pull it because I don't want it slapping hard, but that's what gives it its tension back. So don't remove that until you're good and ready. Alright. And that's the tensioner chain thingies, the guides. Alright.